WNST and the beginning of Ravens training camp and sort of the short week on the back end of the All-Star game and a long week for Manny Machado flying out to Hollywood. But they're playing a little golf on the other side of the world, and, while I was sort of asleep watching the World Cup and doing Dear Orioles letters and rerunning Peter Principles and adding new chapters to the Peter Principles, as I've done here the last couple of weeks, all heads forward now, not just on football season and what's happening in the NBA, but also what's happening on the links in Carnoustie and Tiger Woods, and that's going to be the weekend ahead. And Robert Canady joins us from funky Pasadena right now down at Compass Point Golf, one of our great sponsors. They do events. They have the world's largest golf outing. They do night golf, and everybody down there is going to be watching this weekend at Carnoustie, Scotland. If it's not Scottish, it's crap. And we'll see who wins, right? I mean, this is a fun tournament visually because it's so much different than what the Augusta looks like, right? There's no azaleas in Scotland.
No, absolutely not, Nestor. Yeah, it's pretty much the exact opposite of that, where everything's green and yellow and pretty there in Augusta. At Carnoustie, it's pretty much going to be brown and dried out, and will be running like airport runways, from what all indications have shown this week. With they're going on, I think, almost 2 months there with very, very little rain. So just some of the practice things I've seen, guys like Dustin Johnson are driving at 480 yards, with the bounce and the roll, and so it'll be really fun to watch. It's definitely this one time a year that a lot of the casual golf fans turn in and watch something from the European side and see this style of golf, and it's definitely different than what we see here in the Shinnecock Hills and the Augusta.
Well, the tree-lined fairways, the wind is sort of notorious in that part of the world, right?
It is. I mean, that's the defense of the courses there, and by all indications, again, so far this week, there's been very little wind, and people are talking about there could be a 19 or 20 under could win it, if there's no wind. But you get a little bit of wind blowing there, and then it's, hold on to your hats, and you're lucky to break par, kind of like the U.S. Open type of thing. So this style of golf, more so than anything in the U.S., is dependent upon the scores, is dependent upon whether the wind's blowing or not, and that can change from day to day. Some mornings there, that happened a few years back at, I believe it was St. Andrews, where the guys that played in the morning played like in 40-mile-an-hour winds. They were shooting 5 or 6 over. The afternoon went out in calm 70-degree days and shot 5 or 6 under. So, I mean, it really turned
4 seasons on the course in 4 days, like literally, right?
Literally, yeah, and because they do it a little bit different than the U.S. Open do. They spread the tee times out there. They start at like 1:30 local time. 1:30 our time in the mornings, which is about 6:30 there. The last group tees off around 4. So they have a full day of golf versus the U.S. Open, crams everyone into threesomes for TV purposes and everything. So everyone tees off between basically 9 and 2 or 8 and 2. So
you also have a lot of daylight in Scotland this time of the year.
Exactly.
I mean, you're looking at 19, 20 hours of daylight a day up in the north part of the world. So starting at 6:30 in the morning, that would say, well, that would feel dusky around here. Now it feels like 9 in the morning there, right?
Right, and then they can play until 10 o'clock at night there, So that's, again, another unique thing about it. It's just it's fun to watch, and it's the type of tournament. It's impossible to predict. Everyone says, well, who's going to win? And it's like, I don't know. It could be Dustin Johnson, or it could be the 150th ranked player in the world, that gets the lucky bounces. But, the usual favorites we've talked about throughout the other majors this year, we're going to be up there to watch the Dustin Johnsons, the Justin Thomas, the Ricky Fowlers, the Jordan Spieth, who is yet to win this year. That's kind of interesting.
Well, you're mentioning all these American players, but, I mean, this has been one of those tournaments as well where, from around the world, this is the one everybody plays in everywhere, right? And I guess we talk about the Americans and we focus on them, but, the international players come in, and this is more their style, right?
It is. It's been a pretty even mix of Americans and, international players winning it. Henrik Stenson won it 2 years ago with a great shootout against Phil Mickelson in the final round, and Rory McIlroy won it 2 years before that. But it's been almost like an every other year type thing. Jordan Spieth has won it, Phil Mickelson, Zach Johnson, all in the last 5 or 6 years have won it, along with, like I said, Rory and Henrik Stenson and Ernie, if you go back, 6 years ago. The international players, and sometimes it's not even a big name, international player that'll pop up on the leaderboards. But Carnoustie is it's had a history there all the way back to Ben Hogan. The only time he went over and won it, when it was there in 1999, Paul Lowry, came out of nowhere from to win it. Another speaking of a Scottish golfer, and then I think the last time it was there was Patrick Harrington from Ireland won it. So yeah, it's the last two times there. It's been an international player, so it'll be interesting to. Definitely been interesting to watch it unfold and see how it all shakes out by Sunday afternoon.
Robert Canady is here. He is Buckets and Birds out on Twitter, and obviously the Buckets are the basketball buckets, and that'll be coming somewhere down the line as we get back into college basketball. I know UMBC's got some concerts coming over to their facility hall, and I'm going to have Pete Caringi on talking about the soccer experience at UMBC as well. So we're going to get some college basketball in, but it is the British Open in Carnoustie this week. And, you didn't mention Eldrick in all of this. And we talk about the American players and Tiger Woods certainly on the front of WNST.net and the AP side of this. Some thoughts about Tiger on the backside of what happened down in D.C. A couple of weeks ago and where he is in all of this. Because we certainly are seeing this sort of kinder, gentler version of Tiger Woods here lately, where he is trying at some point to become some sort of a statesman in all of this, right?
It is, and it's funny. It's interesting timing. I'm reading a book by who a good friend of both of us, John Feinstein, wrote a book about the Ryder Cup a couple years ago, and that's Tiger was a vice captain that year, 2 years ago on that team. Obviously, he didn't make it, but Davis Love asked him to be a vice captain, not knowing how. He would relate to the rest of the team, and there's a lot of good insight that John gives in that book about that was really where Tiger kind of began this transformation. He really became one of the guys, and would do anything for them, and he was there to support them, and then let them see a different side of him, and it's kind of carried over since that. And with him hosting the tournament in DC a few weeks ago, and.
And that's the end of that, right? I mean, that if you didn't get down there over the last 20 years when he's been there every year, that's not happening anymore. So, that's sort of an unfortunate thing. But, I mean, I don't know that Tiger Woods is going to be doing this 5 or 10 years from now. Maybe on some sort of senior circuit. Maybe he'll love golf that much. But certainly he's had enough money, enough women, enough travel. I don't know what turns him on at 50. That's going to be interesting to find out, right?
It will be. Like I said, I've said before, I have a hard time seeing him going out there and playing the senior tour, but maybe this is a realization. I mean, I think he's still 8 years or so away from that, so a lot can happen between now and then. I mean, he's a 25-1 favorite this week to win it. He's a bigger favorite than Phil is to win, so, he could go out there, and if he has a good putting week, I mean, he definitely still hits it far enough to win, and his game, he's always been one of the great iron players in the game, so if he gets out there and rolls the putter really well this week, I mean, there would be a huge storyline, him coming back from literally the abyss, of a year and a half ago. And
well, for a guy that's done it this much, there's some muscle memory. Like, he knows his way around Carnoustie. He's been there. And for that, I mean, he was there when Spieth and these guys are running around in diapers, right? So, he's not going to be intimidated by it. And I think everyone who watches golf, and even the people like me that have rooted against him for 20 years because he was a jerk to me in Vegas one night on New Year's Eve in '96, that I would, if Sunday afternoon he's there, I'm watching just to see what it looks like, right? I mean, that would make all televisions turn on Sunday, much more so than if it's Fowler or Spieth or whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's still, the old saying is he doesn't move the needle, he is the needle. And if he's in contention and he's playing, people are going to be watching, and it's in, and like I said, this time of year, there's really not else going on. Baseball is going to start up again, this weekend, but there's certainly not in the pennant races. The training camps haven't opened yet for the football, so. Well,
your Redskin training camp but I'll have my guys in purple, we're working harder. We're out on the field a little earlier this year trying to fix things,
Oh, okay. So are they going to get hit with another?
No. This is legitimate. We have a guy going into Hall of Fame. You wouldn't be familiar with that since Darryl Green, but Ray Lewis is going into Hall of Fame. So we got the Hall of Fame game. So we start early here.
That will be that actually.
Does the Ravens news not make it to you at Pasadena? You got too many. Do you just circle yourself with these Redskins people now that everybody's all hopped up on Capitol fever? I was down in Washington this week at the All-Star game. I mean, I smell that Redskins 6-10 coming down the line here this year.
You know how close, speaking of the Capitals, you know how close the Stanley Cup was to us this week? It was in Severna Park, I guess 2 days ago.
I knew that, yeah.
And a couple of the players that play here sent us pictures of them with it, and, I thought, well, how did I miss out on that? It was just a hop, skip, and jump for us to have gotten down there, and it would have been really cool to see. So, but, yeah, it's a good time of year, the British Open, the third of the four majors. Next thing we know, we'll be heading into the final major, and then it's a Ryder Cup year. And that's the other thing that's kind of the other storyline this week is this is the big chance for a lot of these guys who are on the fence of making the Ryder Cup team or not. This is a chance for them to really pick up some points to secure a spot there. So that'll be something to watch for guys like Webb Simpson and Bryson DeChambeau would have been, but he actually had to withdraw with an injury, I believe. So it's a chance for him it would have been a chance for him to pick up some points. So a good finish by some of the guys that aren't on the Ryder Cup team yet will definitely be an opportunity for them to do that.
Robert Canady will be watching golf. He will be tweeting about it at Buckets and Birds on Twitter. And, of course, you can find him down at Compass Point Golf Course in Pasadena, where there are 36 holes. And, look, I don't know the toughest job in the world here, but I'm thinking if you have a golf course here this month in July, anywhere in the area, I would say hydration would be at a premium here. Been a rough summer for the Heat, and we're not getting enough of those thunderstorms that we got that we had roll through on Monday and Tuesday night during the All-Star Game proceedings for your golf course's needs, right?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, if you'd ever wanted to see a grown man cry, it would have been seeing our superintendent, Tom, the other night when those storms went right around us. We were sitting there watching the dark clouds come in, and he was getting like a kid with a Christmas morning look on his face, thinking we were finally going to get some heavy rain. And then an hour later, they literally split and went right around the course, and we didn't get a drop. And it happened like 2 days in a row. So, it's definitely a stressful job for superintendents. It's stuff that's out of their control.
Well, you can water the course, but it's nothing like rain, right? Nothing better than rain. Yeah.
I mean, you can water the greens. You keep the greens alive, but as far as watering the fairways and the rough, it's just too much. You just physically can't do that. And you're running out of water from your retaining pools where you get your irrigation water from. So, it's definitely, we have a British Open feel for it. I keep telling them to look on that bright side. We have one of our events this Friday night is actually another one of the special events we do. It's called the British Open Par 3 contest. So we'll have, we did it for the Masters. So Friday night, there's still some spots if people want to go to the website and sign up. They can come out and play a little British Open Par 3 on
Well, see, that's inspiring, right? Because you sit around Thursday and Friday for the golf people, and they're watching it, and they're like, I want to go play. Wow, Friday night, come on out. Let's go do it, right?
Yeah, that's great because with the time difference, the TV coverage is basically done by 2 or 3 in the afternoon here, and so you can watch it during the day and come out after work. And
you've done this before, haven't you? This is your idea. It's a good plan. I like this because every year I play tennis, so every year when I watch Wimbledon or whatever, I'd want to run out and play tennis the minute out.
Absolutely,
That's the way it works, right?
Yeah. You watch it and then you want to run to it and think I can do that. I can go I can make that shot. So.
Well, I've said that many times on a golf course. Robert Canady here. He's Buckets and Birds. Tell everybody about the world's largest golf outing as well. You also are doing a movie night. You're doing a night golf. You got a bunch of stuff happening here toward the end of summer that I want to let everybody know about. You can find it at compasspointgolf.com, and the E is silent on Compass Point, so add that E in there. But I'm going to give you a chance to talk a little bit about the stuff you're doing down there.
Thanks. We do have a lot of stuff coming up at the end of the summer. Probably the biggest of it is the world's largest golf outing. It's going to be on Monday, August 6th, and it's a nationwide thing that our company, Billy Casper Golf Management, does, and it's a chance for us to put on a tournament during the day and have everyone out, just like these scramble tournaments you play in at other places for other charities where you get some food beforehand, you play golf, beverages during it, food afterwards, and portions of the proceeds actually go to benefit the Fisher House, which is a great organization. They have, I think it's close to maybe 50, I'm going to say. I could be off, but we'll get some more information on that sometime. But 50 Fisher houses across the country where military veterans and their family can stay while the veterans are being treated for injuries or something they may have sustained or medical treatment that they need. So basically families can stay there for little or no cost at all and, be close and everything. And there's based out of Bethesda, so it's, not too far out of our backyard. And they do really, really great work for the, all the veterans across the country. And it's something our company's gotten behind the last couple of years that we put on this tournament on the August 6th. Every course across the country will be doing it on the same day. And there's contests as far as fundraising teams that raise the most, pledges and everything like you do with your cancer walks and everything. There's prizes both locally and nationally that they can win. And all the details for it, the prizes and sign up and all that information, like you said, is on our website. So they can go there and find out all the good details of how to sign up and what all's involved in it.
All right, man. Well, cool off and, hit them straight out there. We'll get some rain in here for you, and we'll get everybody down there to Compass Point Golf for your event on Friday night on the Par 3, as well as the movie night and the world's largest golf outing. You can learn more at compasspointgolf.com, and you can find Robert at Buckets and Birds out on the Twitter. Stay cool out there, my friend. Football season's around the corner. We'll have some fun and share a beverage soon.
Well, we'll do that. Thanks, Nestor.
You got it. He is our college basketball insider all winter, and he is on the golf course down at Compass Point, which makes him a dual threat. He's our Swiss Army knife around here, and Robert Canady. Luke's out in Owings Mills doing all things Ravens. I am continuing my Dear Orioles series. Hope you've read my Manny Machado letter. Adam Jones is coming around the corner, and I am a very available individual. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.